A cat by Edward Thomas. She had a name among the children, but no one laughed for someone owned her, locked her out of doors at bedtime, and had her kittens dully droned. In spring, nevertheless, this cat ate blackbirds, thrushes, nightingales, and birds of bright voice and plummet flight, as well as scraps from neighbors' pails. I loathed and hated her for this, when speckle on a thrush's breast was worth a million just, and yet she lived long, till God gave her rest. A Gentleman by Edward Thomas. He is robbed to clubs. The judge at Salisbury can't give him more than he undoubtedly deserves. The scoundrel, look at his photograph, a lady killer, hanging to good behalf for such as he. So said a stranger, one of crimes yet undiscovered or undone, at the inn the gyp's day begun. Now he was what I call a gentleman. He went along with Carrie, and when she had a baby he paid up so readily as half a crown, just like him, and crowned with being more like him. I never knew him mean, but he was such a nice gentleman, oh. Last time we met, he said if me and Joe was anywhere near, we must be sure and call. He put his arms around our Amos all, as if he were his own son. I pray God, save him from justice, nicer man never trod. After Rain by Edward Thomas. A rain of a night and a day and a night stops at the light of his pale choked day. The peering sun sees what has been done. A road under the trees is a broader new of purple hue instead of the border of bright thin grass. For all that has been left by November of leaves is torn from hazel and thorns into greater trees. Through the copse no dead leaf drops on grey grass, green moss, burnt orange fern, and the winds return. The leaflets out of the ash tree shed are finely spread in the road, like a little black fish, inlaid as if they played. What hangs from the myriad branches stoneware, so hard and bare, is 12 yellow apples lovely to see on one crab tree. And on each twig of every tree in the dell uncountable crystals both dark and bright of the rain that begins again. After You Speak by Edward Thomas. After you speak, and what you meant is plain my eyes made yours that mean, with your cheeks and hair, something more wise, more dark, and far different. Even so the lark loves dust and nestles in it the minute before he must soar in lone flight, so far, like a black star he seems, a mote of singing dust afloat above the dreams and sheds no light. I know your lust is love. Ambition by Edward Thomas. Unless it was the day I never knew ambition. After a night of frost, before the marshes unbrightened and the southwest blew, jackdaws began to shout and float and soar already, and one was racing straight and high alone, shouting like a black warrior, challenges and menaces to the white sky. A float-long laugh when a woodpecker ridiculed the sadness of the owl's last cry. And through the valley, where all the folk astir, made only plumps of pearly smoke to tower over dark trees, and white meadows happier than was Elysium in that happy hour, a train that roared along raced after it, and carried with it a motionless white boa of purest cloud, from end to end close knit, so fair touched the roar of silence. Time was powerless while it lasted. I could sit and think I had made the loveliest of prime, breathing its life into it, and the world's lord, and my mind lived as safest twixt clouds and rime. Omnipotent was I, nor even deplore, but I did nothing. At the end fell like a bell. The power was scattered, for the train roared. But if this was ambition, I cannot tell. What 'twas ambition, for I know not well. And You Helen by Edward Thomas. And You Helen? What should I give you? So many things I would give you had I an infinite great store offered me, and I stood before to choose. I'll give you youth, all kinds of loveliness and truth, a clear eye as good as mine, lands, waters, flowers, wine, as many children as your heart might wish for, a far better art than mine can be. All you have lost, upon the travelling waters tossed, are given to me. If I could choose freely in a great treasure house anything from any shelf, I would give you back yourself, and power to discriminate what you want, and want it not too late. Many fair days free from care, and hard to enjoy both foul and fair, and myself too, if I could find where it lay hidden and it proved kind. April by Edward Thomas. The sweetest thing I thought at one time between earth and heaven was the first smile. If the mist had been forgiven, the sun is stolen out, be it reserved to shine at 7 on dappling lengthening grasses, thick primroses, and heavy leaves uneven, on earth's breath warm and humid, fair surpasses richest ovens, and lovely rings cuckoo, and sharply the nightingales tsu-tsu-tsu-tsu. To say God bless it was all that I could do. But now I know one sweeter by far since the day Emily turned weeping back to me, still happy me who asked forgiveness, yet smiled with half a certainty to be forgiven. What she had never done, I knew not what it might be, nor could she tell me, having now forgot my rapture carried with me past all care, as to an island in April lovelier than April's self. God bless you, I said to her. As for clouds that are so light, by Edward Thomas. As for clouds that are so light, beautiful, swift, and bright, cast shadows on field and park, of the earth that is so dark, and even so now, light one, beautiful, swift, and bright one, when it fall on a heart that was dark, unillumined, a deeper mark. A clouds would have, for the earth, to shadow far less worth. Away from your shadow on me, your beauty less would be, and if it still be treasured in age hence, it should be measured by the small dark spot without which it were not. Birds' Nests, by Edward Thomas. These summer nests uncovered by autumn wind, some torn, others dislodged, all dark, everyone sees them, lower high in tree, or hedge, or single bush, they hang like a mark. As there's no need of eyes to see them with, I cannot help a little shame that I missed most, even at ice level, till the leaves blew off and made the seeing no game. 'Tis a light pang. I like to see the nests still in their places, more first known at home and by far roads. Boys knew them not, whatever Jason Scriddle may have done. Most I like the winter nest's deep hid, where leaves and berries fell into. Once a dormouse din when hazelnuts, and grass and goosegrass seeds found soil and grew. But these things also, by Edward Thomas. But these things also are springs, on banks by the roadside the grass, long dead, it is greyer now than all the winter it was. The shell of a little snail bleached in the grass, chip of flint and mite and chalk, and the small bird's dung and splashes of purest white. All white things a man mistakes for earliest violets, who seek through winter's ruins something to pay winter's debts, while the north blows and starling flocks, by chattering on, keep their spirits up in the mist, and spring's here, winter's not gone. Early on morning, by Edward Thomas. Early on morning in May I set out, and all what I knew was about. I'm bound away forever, away somewhere, away forever. There was no wind to trouble the weathercocks. I burnt my letters and darned my socks. No one knew I was going away. I thought myself I should come back some day. At the brook through the town gardens run. How sweet was the mud turned to dust by the sun. A gate banged in the fence and banged in my head. A fine morning, sir, a shepherd said. I could not return from my library, to my youth, my love, and my misery. The past is the only dead thing that smells sweet, the only sweet thing that is not also fleet. I'm bound away forever, away somewhere, away forever. First known when lost, by Edward Thomas. I never had noticed it until 'twas gone, when our copse, when our woodman loops the last of the willows with his bill. It was not more than a hedge overgrown, a meadow's breathed away, I passed it day by day. Now the soil is bare as bone, and black betwixt the meadows green, of fresh-cut thack, got ants, of hazel made some almonds, with gleam as the flowers they had been. Strange it could have hidden so near, and now I see as I look, that the small winding brook, a tributary's tribute, rises where. For these, by Edward Thomas. An acre of land between your shore and the hills, upon a ledge that shows my kingdoms free, the lovely visible earth and sky and sea, where what the colonel needs not the farmer tills. A house that shall love me as I love it, well hedged and honored by a few ash trees, that linnets, green finches and goldfinches shall often visit, make love in and flit. A garden I need never go beyond, broken but neat, whose sunflowers every one are fit to be the sign of a rising sun, a spring, a brook's bend, or at least a pond. For we say ask not, but neither too late, nor yet too early, for what men call content, and also that something may be sent to be contented with, I ask of fate. Gone, gone again, by Edward Thomas. Gone, gone again, May, June, July, and August gone, again gone by. Not memorable save that I saw them go, as past the empty quays the rivers flow. And now again in the harvest rain the Blenheim oranges grew before the trees. As when I was young, and when the lost one was here, and the war begun, to turn young men to dung. Look at the old house, outmoded, dignified, dark and untenanted, with grass growing instead of footsteps of life, with friendliness, with strife. In its beds have lain youth, love, age, and pain. I'm something like that, only I am not dead, still breathing and interested in the house that is not dark. I'm something like that, not one pain to reflect the sun, of schoolboys to throw it, I have broken every one. Good night, by Edward Thomas. The skylarks are far behind that sang over the down. I can hear no more those suburb nightingales. Thrushes, blackbirds sing in the gardens of the town, in vain, The noise of man, beast, and machine prevails. At the call of children in the unfamiliar streets, echo with a familiar twilight echoing, sweet as the voice of nightingale or lark, completes the magic of strange welcome, so that I seem a king among man, beast, machine, bird, child, and the ghost, that in the echo lives and with the echo dies. A friendless town is friendly, homeless I am not lost, for I know none of these doors and meet but strangers' eyes. Now again, perhaps after tomorrow, shall I see these homeless streets, these church windows alight, with a man, a woman, a child among them all, but it is all friends' night, a traveller's good night. Heathen waddle, the Edward Thomas, the downs will lose the sun, but Elysium loses the bee's hum, but head and waddle, tail back, and the cart will never part, till I am cold as midnight, and all my hours are beer as flowers. He neither sees, nor hears, nor smells, nor thinks, but only drinks. Quiet in the yard, the tree trunks do not lie more quietly. House and Man, by Edward Thomas. 1 hour, as dim he and his house now look as the reflection in a rippling brook. All remember him, but first his house. Empty it sounded. It was dark that for his bows it thrashed the walls and made the mossy tilts part of a squirrel's track. And all those miles of forced silence and forced murmur, only one house. Lonely, he said, I wish it were lonely, which the trees looked upon from every side, and that was his. He waved goodbye to height, a sigh that he converted to a laugh. He seemed to hang rather than stand there, half ghost-like, half like a beggar's rag, clean wrung and useless to the briar where it was hung, long years washing by sun and wind and rain. And I called back man and house again, as when now a beech tree's tip I see, as when I saw, I at the gate, and he in the house darkness, a magpie veering about, a magpie like a weathercock endowed. How at once, by Edward Thomas. How at once should I know, when stretched in the harvest blue, I saw the swift's black bow, I would not have it view another day, until next May again it is due. The same year after year, it is swift alone. Of other things I but fear, they will be over and done suddenly, and I only see them to know them gone. I built myself a house of glass, by Edward Thomas. Built myself a house of glass. It took me years to make it, and I was proud, but now alas, would God someone would break it. But it looks too magnificent, no neighbor casts a stone, where it dwells in tenement or palace of glass alone. I never saw that land before, by Edward Thomas. I never saw that land before, now can never see it again. Yet, as if by acquaintance or endeared, by gladness and by pain, great was the affection that I bore to the valley and the river small, the cattle, the grass, the bare ash trees, the chickens from the farmsteads, all elm hidden, and the chimneys descending at equal interval. The black fawn stone along the brook, with woods yellow as crocuses, where yesterday the labourer's hook had sliced them cleanly, and a breeze that hinted all and nothing spoke. I never expected anything, nor yet remembered, but some goal I touched then, and if I could sing what would not even whisper my soul as I went on my journeying, I should use, as the trees and birds did, a language not to be betrayed. What was hid should still be hid, expecting from those like me made, who answer when such whispers bid. In Memoriam, by Edward Thomas. The flowers lit thick at night fall in the wood, as Eastertide calling to mind the man. Now far from home, with her sweethearts, should have gathered them, and will do never again. It was upon, by Edward Thomas. It was upon a July evening, and as still I stood, looking along a path over country by a second spring, drenched perfect green again. The lettermouth will be a fine one, so the stranger said, a wandering man. Bade I stood at rest, flushed with desire I was. The earth outspread, like meadows of the future I possessed. And as an unaccomplished prophecy, the stranger's words, after the interval of a score years, and those fields that by me never to be recrossed, now recall this July eve, in question, wondering what of a lettermouth was our spring. Liberty, by Edward Thomas. The last light has gone out of the world, except this moonlight lying on the grass like frost, beyond the brink of a tall elm shadow. It is as if everything else had slept many an age, unforgotten and lost. The men that were the things done long ago, all I have thought, but the moon and I live yet and years, and idle over a grave where all is buried. Both have liberty to dream what we could do if we were free to do something we had desired long, the moon and I. There's none less free than who does nothing and has nothing else to do, being freely only for what is not to his mind, and nothing is to his mind. If every hour like wisp passing what I have spent among the wiser hours when I have forgot to wonder whether I was free or not, appeared before me and not lost behind, and I could take and carry them away, I should be rich. If I had the power to wipe out everyone and not again regret, I should be rich to be so poor. Yet I still am half in love with pain, with what is imperfect, with both tears and mirth, with things that have an end, with life on earth, and this moon that leaves me dark within the door. Lights Out by Edward Thomas. I've come to the borders of sleep, the unfathomable deep, forest where all must lose their way, ever straight or winding, soon or late, we cannot choose. Many a road and track that, since the dawn's first crack, up to the forest brink, deceive the travellers, suddenly no blurs, and in they sink. Here love ends, despair, ambition ends, for pleasure and all trouble, all the most sweet or bitter, he ends in sleep that is sweeter than task more noble. There is not any book or face of dearest look, and I would not turn from now to go into the unknown. I must enter and leave alone, I know not how. The tall forest towers, its cloudy foliage lowers ahead, shelf above shelf. Its silence I hear and obey, that I may lose my way and myself. Like the touch of rain by Edward Thomas. Like the touch of rain she was on a man's flesh and hair and eyes, when the joy of walking was has taken him by surprise. With the love of the storm he burns, he sings, he laughs, will I know how, and forgets when he returns, as I shall not forget her, go now. Those two words shut a door between me and the blessed rain, it was never shut before and will not open again. Lovers by Edward Thomas. The two men in the road were taken aback. The lovers came out, shading their eyes from the sun. Never was white so white or black so black as their cheeks and hair. There are more things than one, a man might turn into a wood for Jack, said George. Jack whispered, he has not got a gun. It's a bit too much of a good thing, I say. We are going the other road, look, and see her run. She ran. What a thing it is, this picking me. No one so much as you, by Edward Thomas. No one so much as you loves this my clay. I would lament as you its dying day. You know me through and through, or I have not told, and of what you know you are not bold. And I never was so fair as I thought you, not a word can be spoken against you. All that I ever did for you seemed coarse, compared with what I hid, nor put in force. My scarce dare meet you, lest I should prove I would respond to you, and do not laugh. We look and understand. We cannot speak except in trifles and the words the most weak. For I had most except your love, regretting that is all. I have kept only a fretting. I could not return all that you gave, and could not ever burn with the love you have. Till something it did seem better it were never to see you more, but linger here, with only gratitude instead of love, a pine and solitude cradling a doe. Old Man by Edward Thomas. Old Man or Let's Laugh, and the name there's nothing to one that knows not Let's Laugh for old man, or green feathery herb, almost a tree, growing with rosemary and lavender. Even so one that knows it well, the names have decorated half perplexed the thing it is. At least, whatever it is clings not to the names in spite of time, and yet I like the names. The herb itself I like not, but for certain I love it, as some never child will love it, who plucks a feather from the doorstep bush, ere she goes in or out of her house. Often she waits there, snipping the tips and shriveling the shreds, at last onto the path, thinking perhaps of nothing, till she sniffs her fingers and runs off. The bush is still but half as tall as she, though it is as old, so well she clips it. Not a word she says. I can only wonder how much hereafter she will remember that bitter scent of garden rows and ancient damson trees topping a hedge, and bent path to a door, a low thick bush beside the door, and me forbidding her to pick. As for myself, the first I met the bitter scent is a lost. I too often shrivel the grey shreds, sniff them and think, and sniff again and try once more to think what it is I am remembering. All is in vain. I cannot like the scent, and I would rather give up others more sweet, with no meaning, than this bitter one. I have mislaid the key. I sniff his brain, think of nothing. I see and I hear nothing, yet seem to be listening, lying in wait, of what I should, yet never can remember. No garden appears, no path, no hoar-green bush of Let's Laugh or old man, no child beside, neither father nor mother, nor any playmate, only an avenue dark, nameless, without end. Over the Hills by Edward Thomas. Often and often it came back again to mind the day I passed the horizon ridge to a new country, the path I had to find, the half gaps, but the stilts once in the edge, the pack of scarlet clouds running across, the harvest evening which seemed endless then and after, and the inn where all my kind, always strangers. I did not know my loss, till one day 12 months later suddenly I leaned upon my spade and saw it all far beyond the skyline. It became almost a habit through the year for me to lean and see it and think to do the same again for 2 days and a night. Recall was vain. No more could the restless brook ever turn back and climb the waterfall to the lake at rest and stirs not in its nook, the hollow of a collarbone, and the mountain's head of Russian stone. Rain by Edward Thomas. Rain, midnight rain, nothing but the wild rain on this bleak hut in solitude, and me remembering again that I should die, never hear the rain, nor give thanks, wash me cleaner than I have been, since I was born into this solitude. Blessed are the dead that the rain rains upon. But here I pray that none whom once I loved is dying tonight or lying still awake, solitary or listening to the rain, either in pain or thus in sympathy, helpless among the living and the dead, like a cold water among broken reeds, myriads of broken reeds all still and stiff, like me who have no love for this wild rain, is not deserved except the love of death, if love be towards what is perfect and cannot, the tempest tells me, disappoint. Snow by Edward Thomas. In the gloom of whiteness and the great silence of snow, a child was sighing, bitterly saying, "Oh, we have killed a wild bird there on our nest that was fluttering from our breast." And still it fell through the dusky brightness on the child crying, bird of snow. The barn by Edward Thomas. They should never have built a barn there at all. Drip, 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 under that elm tree, or when it was young. Now it is old, but good, not like the barn at me. Tomorrow we cut it down, it will leave the barn, as I should be left maybe. What holds it up, 'twould not pay to pull down, while its place is not of antiquity. No abbey or castle looks so old, as this the job nigh built in '54, built to keep corn for rats and men. There is fowl in the roof, pigs on the floor. Out fetches the wives as dung for the grass, with grass on the farm. A pity the roof will not be a mower to mow it, but on the folds have foothold enough. Starlings used to sit with their bubbling throats, making a spiked beard as they chattered and whistled and kissed, with heads in air, if thought of something else would mattered. But now they cannot find a place among all those holes for a nest any more. It's a turn of lesser things, I suppose. Once I fancied 'twas starlings we built it for. The Bridge by Edward Thomas. I have come a long way today on a stranger bridge alone, remembering friends, old friends. I rest the thought smile and moan, as they remember me the thought smile and moan. All are behind, the kind, and the unkind too, no more tonight than a dream. The stream runs softly, yet drowns the past, the darkness stream has drawn the future and the past. No traveller has rest more blessed, in this moment brief between two lives, when night's first lights and shades hide what has never been, things goodlier, lovelier, dear, and will be or have been. The Brook by Edward Thomas. Seated once by a brook, watching a child chiefly that paddled, I was thus beguiled. Miller the blackbird sang in sharp thrush, not far off an oak and hazel brush, unseen. It was a scan like honeycomb, from mugwort dull, and down upon the dome of a stone the cart horse kicks against the flow, a butterfly alighted. From aloft he took the heat of the sun, and from below. On that hot stone he perched contented so, as if never a cart would pass again that way, as if I were the last of men and he the first of insects to have earth and sun together and to know the worth. I was divided between him and the glee, the motion and the voices of the stream, the waters running frizzled over gravel that never vanish and forever travel. A grey flycatcher silent on a fence, and I sat as if he had been there since the horseman and the horse-lying beneath the find recovered bearer on the heath, the horseman and the horse's silver shoes galloped by the downs last. All that I could lose I lost, and the child's voice erased the dead. No one's been here before, was what she said, and what I felt you never should have found a word for, like that sigh and sound. The Cherry Trees by Edward Thomas. The cherry trees bend over and are shedding. On the old road where all that past are dead, petals strewing the grass as for a wedding, was early May morn when there's none to wed. The Child on the Cliffs by Edward Thomas. The root of this little yellow flower among the stones is the taste of quinine. Things are strange today on the cliff, the sun shines so bright, the grasshopper works at his sewing machine so hard. There's one on my hand, mother, look, I lie so still, there's one on your book. There's something to tell me strange, so leave your book to the grasshopper, mother dear, like a green night in a dazzling market-place, and listen. Can you hear what I hear far out? Now and when the foam there curls, and stretches a white arm out like a girl's. Fishes and gulls ring no bells. There cannot be a chapel or church between here and heaven. Fishes or gulls are ringing its bell. Somewhere never see you up in heaven. It's the bell, my son, out in the bay, out the boy. They sound sweet today. Sweeter I never heard, mother, no, not in all Wales. I should like to be lying under the foam, dead, but able to hear the sound of the bell, and certain that you would often come and rest, listening happily. I should be happy if it could be. The Dark Forest by Edward Thomas. Dark is the forest and deep, and overhead hang stars like seeds of light. In vain, or not since where the sound was bred, anything more bright. Never more mightily multitudes ride about nor enter in. The other multitudes were well in sight, never yet was one seen. The forest foxglove is purple, the margaret outside is golden white. Can those that pluck either blossom greet the others day or night? The Glory by Edward Thomas. The glory of the beauty of the morning, cuckoo crying over the untouched dew, blackbird that is founded, that overtempts me on to something sweeter than love. White clouds arranged even and fair as new-mown hay, weed in the stir, the sublime vacancy of sky and meadow and forest of my own heart. The glory invites me, yet it leaves me scorning all I can ever do, all I can be, beside the lovely of motion, shade and hue, wherein is a fancy fitted well in beauty's presence. Shall know this day begin to seek, as far as heaven, as hell, wisdom or strength to match with beauty, start and treat with pale dust, pitting with small dark drops, and up to find whatever it is I seek, hearkening with short-lived happy-seeming things, and we have naught of in the hazel copse. I must be content with discontent, as larks and swallows are perhaps for wings. And shall I ask at the day's end once more what beauty is, and what I can have meant by happiness? Or shall I let it all go, glad wear it, or both? Or shall I perhaps know when I was happy oft and oft before, while forgetting how I am fast penned, how very swift, if not travel too, is time? I cannot but take to the core. The Green Roads by Edward Thomas. The green roads that end in the forest are strewn with white goose feathers this June. Life marks left behind by someone gone to the forest to show his track, but he has never come back. Down each green road a cottage looks at the forest, around one of the nettle towers, two above the flowers. An old man along the green road to the forest strays from one, from another a child alone. In the thicket born into the forest all alone a thrush twiddles a song. It is old, the trees are young in the forest, all but one like a castle keep in the middle deep. But oaks of the ages past in the forest, and we were a host, where the memories are lost, though a tree is dead. All things forgot the forest, except perhaps me, when now I see the old man, the child, the goose feathers at the edge of the forest, the all day long the thrush repeat his song. The Hallow Wood by Edward Thomas. Out in the sun the goldfinch flits along the thistle tops, flits and twists above the hollow wood, the birds swim like fish, fish that laugh and shriek, to and fro, far below, in the pale hollow wood. Lichen, ivy, and moss keep evergreen the trees, that stand half laid and dying, and the dead trees on their knees undogs mercury and moss, and the bright twit of a goldfinch drops down where he flits on thistle tops. The Lofty Sky by Edward Thomas. Today I want the sky, the tops of the high hills above the last man's house, his hedges and his cows, where if I will, I look down even on sheep and rook, and over all things that move, see buzzards only above. Past tall trees, past firs and thorn, where naught deters the desire of the eye for sky, nothing but sky. And seeking of woods and all the multitudes of hedge trees, where I no more when weeds upon this floor of a river of air leaks deep, leaks wide, I am like a fish that lives in weeds and mud and gives what's above from no thought. I might be avenged for aught that I can do today down on the wielded clay. Even the tension stays when he floats up and plays among the lily leaves and sees the sky, or grieves not if he nothing sees. While I know the trees and that lofty sky are weeds, fields, mud, and I would arise and go far to where the lilies are. The Long Small Room by Edward Thomas. The long small room that showed willows in the west, nailed up to the end the fireplace filled, all walnut white. I liked it. No one guessed what need or accident made them so built. Only the moon, the mouse, and the sparrow peeped in from the ivy round the castlement thick. Of all they saw and heard, where they should keep the tale of the old ivy and older brick. When I look back, I'm like moon, sparrow, and mouse that witness what I could never understand or alter or prevent in the dark house. One thing remains the same. This is my right hand, crawling crab-like over the clean white page, resting a while each morning on the pillow, and once more starting to crawl on towards age. The 100 last leaves stream upon the willow. The Manor Farm by Edward Thomas. We rock like mud and froze a little, and rills in and sparkled down each side of the road, under the catkins raging in the hedge. What earth would have her sleep out spite of the sun, nor did the value of that thin gilding gleam more than the pretty February thing, till I came down to the old Manor Farm, and church and yew tree opposite, in age its equals and in size. The church and yew and farmhouse slept in a Sunday silentness. They raised not a straw. The steep farm roof, with tiles duskily glowing, entertained the midday sun, and up and down the roof were pigeons nested. There was no sound but one. 3 cart horses were looking over a gate, drowsily through the forelocks, swishing their tails against a solitary fly. The winter's cheek flushed as if he had drained spring, summer, and autumn at a draught and smiled quietly. But 'twas not winter, rather a season of bliss unchangeable, awakened from farm and church, where it had lain safe under tile and thatch for ages since this England, old already, was called Mary. A New House by Edward Thomas. Now first, as I shut the door, I was alone in the new house, and the wind began to moan. Old at once was the house, and I was old, me as fatigued with the dread of what was foretold. Nights of storm, days of mist, without end, sad days when the sun shone in vain, old griefs and griefs not yet begun. All was foretold me, naught could I foresee, but I learned how the wind would sound after these things should be. The Owl by Edward Thomas. Downhill I came, hungry and yet not starved, cold, yet had heat within me that was proof against the north wind. Tired, yet so at rest it seemed the sweetest thing under a roof. When at the inn I had food, fire and rest, knowing how hungry, cold and tired was I. All of the night was quiet there out except an owl's cry, a most melancholy cry. Shaken out long and clear upon the hill, no merry note, no cause of merriment, but one telling me plain what I escaped, never could not, that night as in I went. And salted was my food, my repose salted and sober too, the bird's voice speaking for all who lay under the stars, soldiers and poor, unable to rejoice. The Path by Edward Thomas. Running along a bank, a parapet that saves from the precipitous wood below the level road, there's a path. It serves children for looking down the long smooth step between the legs of beech and yew to where a fallen tree checks the side. The man and woman content themselves with the road and what we see over the bank and what the children tell. The path, winding like silver, trickles on, bordered and even invaded with thinnest moss that tries to cover root and crumbling chalk with gold, olive, and emerald but in vain. The children whirled, they flattened the bank on top and silvered it between the moss with a current of their feet year after year. And the road is houseless and leads not to school. To see a child is rarer, and the eye has but the road, wooded overhangs and under yawns it, and the path that looks as if it led onto some legendary or fancied place where men have wished to go and stay, till sudden it ends where the wood ends. The Sorrow of True Love by Edward Thomas. The sorrow of true love is a great sorrow, and true love parting blackens the bright morrow. Yet almost their equal joys, since their despair is but hope blinded by its tears, and clear above the storm the heavens wait to be seen. A greater sorrow from less love has been, that can mistake a lack of despair for hope, and knows not tempest the perfect scope of summer, but a frozen drizzle perpetual of drops that from remorse and pity fall, and cannot ever shine in the sun or fall, removed eternally from the sun's law. The Trumpet by Edward Thomas. Rise up, and as the trumpet blowing chases the dreams of men, as the dawn glowing, the stars that left unlit the land and water, rise up and scatter the dew that covers the print of last night's lovers, scatter it, scatter it. While you are listening to the clear horn, forget man everything on this earth newborn, except that it is lovelier than any mysteries. Open your eyes to the air that has washed the eyes of the stars through all the dewy night. Up with the light to the old wars, arise, arise. The Word by Edward Thomas. There's so many things I have forgot that once so much to me, or what were not, or lost, as is a childless woman's child, and its child's children, and the undefiled abyss of what can never be again. I have forgot, too, names of the mighty men that fought and lost or won in the old wars, of kings and fiends and gods, and most of the stars. Some things I have forgot that I forget, but lesser things there are, remembered yet, and all the others. One name that I have not, what is an empty, thingless name, forgotten never can be, because spring after spring some thrushes learn to say it as they sing. As always one at midday, saying it clear and tart, the name, only the name I hear. But perhaps I'm thinking of the elder scat, that is like food, while I am content with a wild rose scan that is like memory. This name suddenly is cried out to me from somewhere in the bushes by a bird, over and over again, a pure fresh word. Tonight, by Edward Thomas. Harry, you know at night the larks in Castle Alley sing from the attic's height, as if the electric light of the true sun above a summer valley. Whistle, don't knock tonight. I shall come early, Kate, and we in Castle Alley will sit close out of sight, alone and ask no light of lamp or sun above a summer valley. Tonight I can stay late. When first I came here, by Edward Thomas. When first I came here I had hope for I knew not what. Fast beat my heart at the sight of a tall slope, or grass in use, as if my feet, only by scanning its steps of chalk, would see something now of a hill that is closed. And I walk down it the last time, and never will my heart beat so again at sight, for any hill always fair and loftier. For infinite the change, late unperceived this year, but wealth suddenly shows me plain. Hope now, not health nor cheerfulness, since they can come and go again, as often one brief witnesses. Just hope has gone forever. Perhaps I may love other hills yet more than this. A future in the maps hides something I was waiting for. One thing I know, that love of change, and use and time and necessity will grow, and louder the hearts dance, and parting then at meeting be. Words by Edward Thomas. Out of us all that make rhymes, will you choose sometimes, as the winds use a crack in a wall or a drain, where joy or pain whistle through, choose me, you English words. And know you are light as dreams, for as oak, precious as gold, as poppies and corn, or an old cloak. Sweet as our birds to the ear, as the burning rose in the heat of midsummer. Strange as the races of dead and unborn. Strange and sweet, equally and familiar to the eye, as the dearest faces that a man knows. And as lost homes are. And we're older far than oldest you, so hills are old, worn you again and again, young as our streams. After rain and as dear as worth which we prove that we love. Make me content with some sweetness from Wales, whose nightingales have no wings, with Wiltshire and Kent, and Herefordshire, and the villages where, for names and for things no less. Let me sometimes dance with you and climb, or then perchance in ecstasy, fixed and free, the rhymeless poets do.